Welcome to the Call to Action podcast with Nicole Magic, where conscious awakened leaders listen and action takers are rewarded. Join us for the insightful wisdom of today's special guest with an irresistible offer. Hello, everyone. This is Nicole Magic with the Call to Action podcast, where professional service providers and strategists share their wisdom. Usually this is 5 questions in under 10 minutes, but we have a very special guest back again with us. Well, with me anyway, not necessarily for the podcast, but I've had Charlene Cabral, a licensed massage therapist, and so much more, do so many different speaking engagements with me and for my membership groups that everybody always wants to hear more from her. So we're going to do a special episode that's a little bit more extended so that you can get more in a short period of time. So welcome here today, Charlene. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me again, Nicole. I really appreciate it because I love doing this and I love helping people. So thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. And we're just going to dive right in. And I'm going to have you, in a few sentences, just tell us who you are and what you do so much.
And I'm already laughing because I'm trying to be really good. You say in a few sentences, those people that know me, and somebody said this years ago, Charlene, say something in 25 words or less, never gonna happen. But I try to do that, first of all, so that people are really clear as to what the intent is. An example, I always say blue. Like, here's an example. I'm thinking blue. People look at me like I'm crazy. What do you mean blue? Well, there's different shades of blue, right? So you got to get in there and get to the meaning, which leads into what do I do? So you mentioned I'm Charlene Cabral. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I won't get into all the initials because a lot of times people go, what do they even mean? So I'm certified in a number of areas, like I'm a reflexologist, I'm certified in cupping, I'm a RISE teacher trainer, I'm finishing my certification in polarity, so I'm board certified. I'm an infant massage instructor and educator, and I'm also a medical massage practitioner. However, what I love to do is to help people figure out what's in their way, right? Like massaging so they connect with what's really in that pain and then massaging it out of the body.
And I love that, Charlene, because and I've had sessions with you that have been absolutely amazing. And when we really get into that space of where things are lying, like my neck and stuff sometimes, right?
Mhm.
When we really get into that, it's like it just melts off and
It
releases.
does. Yeah. I've had people say, "Wow, I feel so much lighter." And I kind of laugh as you're saying it because not only others but also people you've referred to me have said, "Nicole told me right from the get-go, don't think this is going to be light and fluffy." And first of all, I'm not a light and fluffy type of person, even when I was in massage school learning the basics, right? But I've studied and have implemented different things over the last 20 years, and what's interesting is I always felt fragmented, kind of like what I'm doing here right now. The thought comes through and I'm going in different areas. But the light bulb went off and I was like, oh my God, I wasn't fragmented at all. I was supposed to learn this and this and this and this. Then I went to massage school because now I pull it all together and that's what I help people with. So people are like, wow, that's really intense. Like Nicole was right. This is really deep. And it's because your emotion is moving to the surface and then my pressure's here and it intensifies and it moves it out. And I've had psychotherapists say to me, not knowing they were psychotherapists, that this is really interesting because I ask my clients these questions. I've had um, mental health therapists say to me, wow, these are things I address. And I go, your work is extremely important, but just imagine if you were massaging while the person was having that awareness. It just moves it out of the body. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't even describe like what happens because it's this it comes to the surface, like you said. You feel that pressure and then the release. So it's
Hmm.
almost like popping a balloon, right? If you're
Yeah, exactly.
pushing on it, and it builds up that pressure because you're reducing the area zone, and then once it releases, it's like gone. So
Exactly.
moving into that sphere of things, what piece of wisdom would you like to share with the audience today?
Let's see, what piece of wisdom would I like to share? The big thing with me is it's always about awareness with everything, right? I know we have a few questions we're going to go to, and people are going to be like, all right, there she goes with the awareness again. But it is, we can't set ourselves free from anything unless we become aware and then obviously want to take the action to set yourself free. So that's the wisdom is what's in your way. I say it to people all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, you mentioned the neck." So people have stuff going on in the neck and the shoulders. Well, I've learned with all the different modalities. This means this and this means that, right? The chakras, throat chakra, being a reflexologist, also taking different holistic classes. It teaches you the meaning of things. So shoulders are about expectations, certain points. I've done meridian massage, so certain points actually tie into acupuncture. So there's so much wisdom in, wow, like that point right there kills. Well, guess what? That's the gallbladder. Gallbladder is about anger. So you're angry about all these expectations and you're not speaking your truth about going, no, I don't want to do that, or yes, I want to do that, or choosing yourself. So there's so much wisdom in just that. And sorry, I
Awesome.
get so excited. I can see
No,
myself
I
going.
feel like that too right now because I was just remembering that. Remember the last time we were talking about my jaw, right? And it
Mhm.
was like this, it just wouldn't go away. It just felt like, excuse me, that this jaw
That's
was
clearing. That's okay.
tight, right? But that jaw was just so super tight. And you know what I realized recently? I can't remember where I found it out, but the jaw tends to mimic the pelvic floor. So if the
Mhm,
pelvic floor is like overly tight,
mm,
it shows up in the jaw. And as soon
mhm.
as I put my awareness on that and then consciously did some exercises to relax, it subsided.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, I have to
Absolutely.
tell Charlene about this. And I didn't have the chance to the day that I found out, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, totally
It's
like,
so powerful, and that wisdom and knowing how it's all connected. Like even something like reflexology. How can you tell me if I push over here on this point and hold a point on the glute that it's going to open up? Well, guess what? If you have issues, let's say with your piriformis, right? That ties in with the heart meridian. So then you actually feel an opening in your actual heart center area. And it's like, oh my God. So you're right. And then you think about it like the jaw, it's all about holding, right? Not releasing, not letting go. So, does that tie in with the large intestines? And, you know, that's part of letting go. So everything means something. So,
it's
and
crazy.
that's the wisdom in knowing that. It's so powerful.
Yeah. And January, I always do in my membership group something on self-awareness, presence. This month theme, it's about presence and the power of presence. And really, the power of presence is about being aware and aware of the self, especially with what's going on within the body. Because when you have that awareness, it then allows you to move into new spaces of growth. So
Absolutely.
it allows us to overcome different obstacles that are presented before us, which
Mhm.
segues right into our third question. Charlene, what obstacle became your greatest opportunity?
Believe it or not, and this is what is going on in everybody, is fear, right? Like, I don't think I present as a fearful person, but underneath everything is fear. Um, I've learned that it starts with fear. Some people go deeper into fear, some people go into worry, some go into anger. who cares? It's all an emotion. And what's crazy is I never went to emotions. And now what do? Like, I want to help people release emotions that are in their body that are creating, physical pain. And it all comes back to the fear. So, an example is, um, you know, just to answer that obstacle that became an opportunity is thinking bad things, right? We go, oh, that was bad. Like, I'm losing my job. I'm not making enough money. There's COVID. Um, so there's times, there's situation, there's events, there's people that we look at it, we go, oh my God, it's so negative, it's bad, whatever you want to label it as, when it's working against me. And it really wasn't working against me. What I've learned is, and I call it opportunity in disguise, right? So what we think is bad is really opportunity in disguise. And I'll actually have conversations with my friends, and they'll rant about whatever's going on, which is fine. And I let them have it because we all need to have it, myself included, right? So that you can feel it. And then I'll say, okay, and what's the opportunity in that?
Yes.
Because that's what we need to do, is find out what's underneath all of that feeling, all of that emotion that's coming up. And it's always fear. So what's in the fear? When we're in a state of fear, we don't feel safe, right? And usually, regardless of the emotion, your energy's up. It's up here, it's up here, it's up here, right? You got to breathe and bring it down. But that's only a piece of it.
Yeah,
So
totally.
that's what I came, and if I can, I remember years ago being in a yoga class, and the instructor said, my friend Tina, she had said, what do you want? And I said, I want to walk through the fear. And she would come back and say something. I go, no, Tina, I'm not trying to push it down. I want to walk through it. And when I walk through the fear, and that was before even being in the place where I'm at right now and helping people to move it out. Yeah, for me, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, what happened is it released in a different way, where there was a lot of anger that I didn't even know was underneath. And that release, which, unfortunately result, and I'm saying unfortunately because we all think it's bad, but the opportunity is it set me free. Yeah, I had to go through releasing the anger, which there was so much, which wasn't even mine, because there's also, as DNA and ancestral stuff going on. So the anger wasn't just mine. I come from a bloodline like everybody else. So all of my ancestors had to release too, which meant it came out, and it came out. I got cancer, but it set me free. So, you know,
Yeah,
even when we have that sickness, illness, and disease, what's underneath it that's setting you free? So you just have to know the opportunity. And it's crazy. I loved having cancer because I'd go to Dana Farber, and all these people would be like, oh my God, you're that girl. You'd make them look at it differently, and they'd feel awesome. And that makes me feel awesome.
yeah, it's kind
So
of the way that I look at it. When you're describing walking through the fear, I just keep picturing Tony Robbins' fire walk, right? And
absolutely.
that's a physical action that represents just that. It's like the rite of passage where
Mhm,
you're doing something, you're walking through that pain, that fear, the whatever it is that's a negative, right? It's a negative
mhm,
because it's telling your body, like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to
mhm,
do this anymore. So, can we just get on with it? Can we get
mhm,
through this? Can we
mhm.
be done with it? Can we
Yeah,
overcome this? And you're not meant to stay in that space. You're meant to have the awareness, acknowledge it, and then do something about it.
correct.
Right? So
Correct.
it's a rite of passage. And if we look at it as it's a rite of passage to get to the next level, what is a rite of passage? It's a ritual thing. It's something that happens to that is sacred to bring you to a whole new level,
Mhm,
a whole new
correct.
place. And if we look at it that way, it doesn't become that negative thing. Yeah,
Doesn't
I
become
use
so fearful. It's not
right.
so fearful. Yeah,
I
it's
use
lighter.
seemingly negative, right?
Y
We may not be
correct.
able to see outside of it fully and understand why we're experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing, whether,
Mm.
cancer or illness, divorce, or a loss of a job, or, some other sickness, or, COVID, loss of a loved one, whatever it is, it's seemingly negative because it's shaking up a foundation. It's that something is happening to make something be different in your life for the better. And we
Correct.
just sometimes can't see it when we're in the thick of it.
Correct. And it's not even Oz. I have people say so many times, I don't know why I feel this way, right? And it's because it's not yours. It's ancestral. I've had people, they don't resonate with the word DNA. So I go, okay, well, ask if it's ancestral. And then they get a yes. So either way, it doesn't matter. But it's all the programming, those blueprints, everything that's in our way. I had somebody yesterday, I was in a session with somebody, and she said, oh, I tell my kids all the time, don't let fear. And I said, well, if I can, I want to encourage you to change your words. She goes, what do you mean? I said, we're never taught this, right? You're focusing on what you know you don't want, which is living out of fear. I said, but when you say don't or not, the universe doesn't hear that. So it goes, all right, you want fear, you want this, and it gives you just that. I said, what do you want? You want to live in joy and happiness. And yeah, I said, then that's what you need to tell. That's your mantra, and tell your kids. Like, and a lot of times I do the activities with people. You don't know what you want, let's say, but you know what you don't want. Well, great. Take a piece of paper, fold it in half on one side, right? Write down what you don't want. And then on the other side, turn it into the positive. So then that way you can burn or destroy the negative side, if you will. And there's opportunity in that. See how we just were like, I don't like that, the negative sound. But the bottom line is that's especially our generation, right? The newer, younger generations, th- they're here to create different things and they get it. And they say what they want. They're not going to get hung up on the what I don't want. And and that's fabulous. But we still need to clear that out of our system is the bottom line.
Yeah.
So
And you sound
yeah.
like me because I say it all the time. Most people know what they don't want, and they
Mhm.
don't know what they actually want. And that's what I help them to do. And it's so fun to see, how I work with my clients and how you work with your clients, and how we do the same thing from completely different spaces
Exactly.
and completely different techniques for those that need certain things, right? And
Mhm.
I've worked on a lot of ancestral stuff and had you working through that stuff with me, and it's so,
Freeing.
oh my god, it's so freeing. And it allows you, when you have somebody else that's
Mhm.
holding the space for you, whether it's a coach, massage therapist, or a therapist, or some other, best friend, whatever it is, when you have somebody else that's there holding the space for you, it allows you to relax in areas, to be guided in a safe place, because everybody
Mhm.
always wants safety, love, or acknowledgement, acceptance, and empowerment. And when we don't have those things, we turn them into negatives. But when we have that space that's being held for us, where we are allowed to relax, get into the present moment, and be guided through it, knowing that we're safe and secure and guided by
Yeah.
somebody who's qualified, or that we trust to be
And
there.
that's the key, right? Everybody has to trust you. And so it may be you, it might be me, it might be somebody else. It's whoever you feel comfortable with.
And what you
But
need at the time.
and it's a combination. Sometimes it could be a combination, like you said, what we do. And you've actually have had me speak to some of your members, and I've had sessions with them. So you're working with them on this level, and
Yes.
then I'm working with them on the physical level. And one person comes to mind. A lot of people have, she called it a hump. You know, it's interesting what people call, that hump.
Yep.
Some people call it a fat sack, whatever. But like, I don't like the fat sack because to me, again, that's like speaking negative to your body, right? But she's like, what is this? Well, it's just blockages. She goes, what
Like
do
a
you mean?
pocket of inflammation.
Yeah. And it's like right next to your spine, right? So many people have tightness there. And there's so many meanings as to what it is. And you know me, I can go on and on, but I won't. But I will share with you that I worked this and cleared it in here with her because it's not about the person that's doing the work. I say to people all the time, we're a team. So if you're giving your power away and saying, Nicole's fixing me, Charlene's fixing me, that's not true. We're empowering you to own your own power and know what's going on so that, wow, later I go, all right, something's blocked here, it's blocked here. And I always equate, let's say, this to a drain. I go, let's say your hand is the basin and this is the drain, right? If there's no blockage, the water is going to flow. But if there's a blockage, it dumps in the basin. The same thing here with the hump, as she calls it. So we did some work, and sometimes, like, if other people in massage saw me doing some of the stuff, they'd be like, "Oh my god!" But again, you get into your intuition. I feel it needs to go out your head, and you might have even experienced me massage it that way rather than, um, well, this particular person reached out to me. She goes, "Oh my God, the hump is gone." I was like, "Yeah."
I know.
So
I heard
it,
about the hump going away.
see, it's incredible. So but now you've released that. So you've released the physical, maybe whatever's in her way that, or his or her way, can be manifested working with you, working with me, working with multiple people that you're working with, because now you've set yourself free of what was in the way on the physical level.
And that's why I love working alongside different people that do the same thing in very different ways because we all need things at different times that, when something gets presented and I say, you might want to go talk to Charlene or you might want to go talk to this other person, um, because we all have specialties. And that's what the
Mhm.
beauty is that, sometimes you need a foot doctor, sometimes you need a heart doctor. They're all taking care of the body, but in a very specific type of way that when something presents itself very specifically, you want to get to the root of it. You want to take care of it with somebody who can go in there and just help you to do the thing and be done with
Mhm.
it and move on so that you can go
Correct.
to deeper levels. So when we're talking about going to deeper levels, it's all about that awareness, right? So
Mhm.
let's talk about what is your favorite mindfulness practice or your favorite mindfulness technique?
Well, and we were talking about this before, doing the podcast, so that's why I'm laughing, as you know. But I like to share why people like, what is wrong with this girl, right? Why is she laughing? But I know it's saying what's my favorite, and what I shared with Nicole was that whatever comes to me in the moment, right? Because I'm about intuition and like going with where I'm guided. However, I was like, to answer Nicole's question, if I had to pick one, it is about awareness. Um, it's what's underneath. And that's my mantra with everybody. Awareness sets you free. And what do I mean by that? Is you need to go to what's underneath the emotion, the situation, the relationship, whatever's going on, right? Why did we attract what we did? And I'm not trying to pick on marriages. I'm not telling anybody to get divorced or whatever, but I can look back at things in my life and say, wow, it was a gift. But that's because of things that were in my way, right? It helped to set me free because I now know that that person was really teaching me that I deserve better. I was allowing that person to hold me back. Believe it or not, I said years ago that I wanted to be a massage therapist. And I remember my now ex saying, if you go to massage school, we're through. And I said, why? Well, because you're going to be touching men. Who cares? Who cares? People are people. And I think energy, people know and they can feel your energy, they can read your energy. And hopefully, I'm saying this to make people laugh, but there's truth in this. Yeah, it's massage, but people can read my energy. Nobody ever approaches me in that manner because they feel I will kill them, right? Like, that's not what it's about. I am here to help you release what's in the way. It, not whatever you think. That might be something somewhere else, but and I had a client once say that to me. I go, think about how much pain you're in. He wasn't approaching me in that way. He's just asking me. And I said, think about how much pain you're feeling right now to release from your body what's in your way. Do you think that that's going through people's heads? And he laughed, and obviously, and I didn't mean to go down that road, but the point is there was a reason I meant to share that, right? And that's why it had to come out. But what was holding me back? I had the intuition I needed to be and wanted to be a massage therapist and blend all of those things in that I learned. And then once I became a massage therapist, and I've been doing that now for about 5 years, um, I blend in all the other modalities and created that intuitive massage with Charlene, which is setting people free. I've had people say they've suffered with chronic pain and now it's gone. A very cool experience. I was working with somebody, and as I was on her hip, like with this hand, and this hand was down at a bone that seemed to be out in her foot, like around the ankle. She had the awareness, and all of a sudden that bone just went bloop right back. And we both were like, oh my God, did you feel that? Right. I get all excited for you. You're the one that's releasing, but I'm like, ah, did you feel that? So it's very cool. So, um,
That's a very real thing that bones will move back into place because I've worked on people energetically that their bones just realigned, went back into place, all kind hips rolled back. Many years ago, worked on somebody who's a friend of mine that his spine, he's had scoliosis, and worked on the spine to the point where he was sitting on the floor touching his feet, and he's like, I've never in my life been able to do this ever.
Mhm.
And then came back the second day because this was a workshop I was teaching, and um, he's like, I'm sorry I'm late, but I couldn't find a belt. None of my pants fit me because his hips were so rolled. And then now
Mhm.
that it was put into place, all of his jeans were too big around the
Mhm.
waist because it wasn't all like distorted. And he had to find a belt because they wouldn't stay up. So
Exactly.
it's
People
really cool.
it's really cool and people don't realize it is, and I'm so glad you're like sharing because one thing leads to another, right? Two things come to mind is that um this young man years ago I did some work with, and he came in and he was an athlete. Nicole, I just looked at him and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do with him? He was trying to be respectful, so he was trying to look at me, but his head was like this, is this was this, and he was that way,
Wow.
like everything, his whole body was twisted. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And you just get into your session and you're in that zone, and stuff came out of him like awareness. And then he was a young man, so obviously if I'm working with people under 18, the parents need a sign and permission and whatnot. So the mother was like, absolutely. And he shared with mom stuff, and she goes, oh, I didn't even know that was going on and this was going on. And I was like, yeah, some people have just told me stuff for years. And then he came walking out of the room and he stood next to us. She goes, wow, you look taller. And he looked me in the eye to thank me. And I go, oh my God, your body unraveled. So, yeah, it's just really powerful. And again, because too many things come to mind, I said there were two things that I thought of. I lost what the other one was, but it's just, it's incredible and it's powerful and it's freeing. They don't even realize. Um, Somebody, I went to energy medicine school years ago, and that's actually they some friends had an event, and that's where I met you. And so when I graduated from massage school, I had said something, and this person said to me, "Oh wow, you went to massage school, so why don't you come in?" So she ended up hiring me, and I was doing some work for her. And she said, "You don't massage like you just got out of school." And I said, "It's because there's no fear." And I think I've done this in past lifetimes. Also, I said, What's the big deal? First of all, if you go too deep and somebody needs you to lighten up, you can lighten up. But I also now realize that I might not necessarily release until they connect with it, and then the body releases. So there's just, I'm sure we could share tons of stories because it's so powerful, just
I'm
so
sure
powerful.
we might have to have another one of these and tackle a certain topic or something. But I want to give
Sounds
you the
fabulous.
chance at this point to address the listeners and tell us what is your irresistible call to action for our action takers today?
All right. Well, the irresistible action is that I want you to experience this intuitive massage. I want you to set yourself free and release that physical pain because it's there for a reason. It's trying to come out. It doesn't serve you. It's time for it to go. So, your action is to book. And I always tell people 2 hours because, as you know, they usually end up going into like 3 hours. And it's because there's so much that needs to go, and by the time you get through 1 hour, it's not enough to cover the whole body. So book a 2 hour intuitive session with me, and I'm going to offer 25% off that first booking, which is a savings of $125. I know, so it is huge. And I know some people, they're like, wow, how much is the session? It's a huge savings, number one. And the benefits is you're setting yourself free. The physical pain is going to leave the body. What kind of medications are you having to pay for or supplement with alcohol or drugs or whatever? And there's no judgment in any of that. You have to do what you have to do, but there's a meaning in all of that. If you're pushing it down with alcohol, emotions are in the way. If you're pushing it down with food, you're not being yourself. You need to call to action, releasing that so you can be yourself. So it all means something. It's take that action and set yourself
What
free.
is it
Have the
costing you?
awareness.
Right? What is it costing you physically, emotionally, financially to keep
Correct.
holding on to this pain? That's the question. That's the biggest question versus what does it cost you to release it and how
Exactly.
you'll feel afterwards and what does that mean to you? So the people that are going to see the value in that are going to
Hmm.
understand what those questions mean in their personal life and how that ripples out into their extended social life, right?
Absolutely. And once you set it free, then you might not need to do intuitive massage. You're just going to be doing maintenance of regular massages to like release what's going on, release what's going on.
That is so true and
And
a great point to make. So thank you, Charlene, for mentioning that because that is what it is once you actually release what's underlying there, it dissolves. It goes
mhm,
away.
yeah, I worked with a young girl years ago, and she had so much awareness and release. She ended up coming in. She had a tattoo, let go. She did a blog to share how doing this type of work set her free. And again, some people might say, "No, I want to keep doing this to release, to release." I, people say, how many sessions? Everybody's different. You might be like first session done, and there's different variations. As you know, when I've worked with you and other people, you get right on the table and you start talking as we're connecting, and then you're sharing with me how well we might be over here, but it moved over here. Well, you need to communicate that because it all means something so you can let it go. Whereas I've worked with other people where we might talk for an hour, sharing whatever and it doesn't have to be an hour, whatever the session is based on how you need and want it to be. So, the person's or people have actually talked, and I'm like writing down. And then when they're done, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. Do you want to know what this means? And then it's like, wow, holy smokes, I didn't know that. Like, I'm in relationships, so I keep attracting people because I can see their greatness. Well, that's because you don't see your own greatness, right? So everything's a mirror. And then you get on the table and stuff moves, and yeah, it's fabulous. So
Awesome.
sorry, I can't just answer your one question, right? I was going to go into.
It's so complex and intricate, in that release sometimes, that uh bringing it back to that simple space of just the action and movement and awareness
Mhm.
and attention. um yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna have us wrap this up by having you tell us your website, because it'll be in the description. So just tell us what your website is and how people can get in touch with you.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my phone number and my email. Oops, sorry, my cat came to visit us. Um, and I'm actually in the process of completing the website, so I don't have that as of yet. I'm going to put out there my treatment menu, but my phone number is 508-269-6774. And my email is ccabral at ccabralconsulting.com. So
Excellent.
that's what I'm using right now, just because it makes life easier. But I'm sure you're going to put the email out there, because sometimes people forget the double C, or they find me on Facebook. Um, and right now I don't have like a page. I've just been like I haven't been creating like the business end, and now I'm stepping into creating the business end. So thank you.
And I've known you for, it's
Oh my
over a
God.
decade now.
Correct.
I've been in business for 14 years coming up in April, and I've known you almost that entire time. So watching you step into all these things, watching you go through the cancer and beat the cancer, and overcome that and step into who you are to this day,
Mhm.
has been quite an honor, that I absolutely admire you, and watching you go through all of the different phases of your journey, and also having you there through mine. So, all of you people out there that are listening, really check into Charlene, because she's been doing this for a very long time. She is absolutely amazing. People have said that I'm like a scalpel. Well, so is she. She's like that laser focus, beams right in, zaps it all up, and then you're done. So check it out. Take her up on that offer, and everything that has been stated as for the links and whatnot and phone number, all that will be in the description. So don't forget to listen to the next episode of the Call to Action podcast, where conscious awakened leaders listen and action takers get rewarded. We would certainly love to hear your favorite takeaways from this episode. So leave us a comment, and thank you for listening. Thank you, Charlene, for being here. It was
Thank you.
so lovely having you.
Thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time. I really appreciate it. And it's been an honor working with you and seeing you on your journey as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Many more years, right?
Yes, many more. So, all you listening, I'm Nicole Magic. Have a spectacular day. Love you all.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for listening. I hope you found today's episode insightful and invaluable to elevating your own business.